Hi, I am Kimmy with On William Street, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter from the quilting to the piecing and everything in between. So this week we are going to go back to our B Block 9 and talk about some different quilting ideas for the Dresden block. So we have our block 9, which is our Dresden block, and my favorite part about this is these fun fan blade shapes here. So I'm going to show you some different ways that you can quilt those to really kind of show those off.
So with this first design, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in a swirl in each of the Dresdens. And if you notice as I'm coming out of the swirl, I'm just going to put a little point at the top. And that's just really going to accent that point shape on the Dresden blades. If we want to make that stand out, it's kind of a highlight of the block. Then in every other one, I'm going to go ahead and put some straight lines. And this is just a really nice contrast between the curve and the straight. You could do the swirls in every one if you wanted to, but I like the little bit of difference in those in every other block. For this next design, I'm going to go ahead and treat the Dresden as one full shape. I'm not going to worry about breaking the blades apart. So first I'm just going to go ahead and echo around and then add in a second echo. Then I'm going to go in a little bit farther, put another one, and just put a couple different rounds of these echoed shapes in. Now if I was doing this, I would definitely measure and mark those so that I knew that all those points were at the same distance. I wouldn't have them looking all swampy like that. Let me just put one last one here in the middle. And then just to give it a little bit of dimension, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in the outside shape and the inside shape with some real close back and forth lines. And that's just going to create an area of high density quilting and some areas of low density quilting to really create some dimension and shape and to make some of those different areas stand out. Next, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and treat each blade individual again, but I'm going to just pick 4 different designs and I'm going to put all of the same design in the same colors. So we'll start with some wishbones here in the yellow blades. Then I'm going to go ahead and put some straight lines in the gray blades. On the dark green blades, I'm just going to echo the outside shape. And then I can come in with any of my fills that I like. I'm just going to put some pebbles in here for now. This would also work for some swirls or just a nice meander. Just anything that you like to put a fill in those areas. Then after I've filled in all of these, I have this one last shape left. And I'm going to go ahead and do some horizontal lines across it. And I'm just going to put 2 close together and then a big space. 2 close together and a big space. This you could do 3, you could do just 1, you could do them all evenly spaced, just whatever you prefer. But that horizontal line, again, contrasts the shape of the rest of them. Now, if we're looking at the full quilt, a couple different ways that you could approach this. The first one I'm going to show is I'm just going to go ahead and echo the outside of the Dresden. And this would work with any of the fills that we did, especially some of the ones where they are the different designs in each of the blades. Because after I go ahead and put some echoes around here, I'm going to keep the background fairly simple. So all of those different designs in the blades would kind of be the focal point of the quilt. And I'm just going to go ahead and put some straight lines behind. And I'm just going to go all the way across the quilt. And again, you could definitely go in and mark these, make sure that they're evenly spaced so that they all match up and line up going through those Dresdens. Or if you wanted it to be more, if you didn't want them to be perfectly even, you could definitely alter the spacing on those as well. All right, for the last design, I'm going to go ahead and pick out an element in the background. And I really these shapes in between the Dresdens really stood out to me. I really like the different angles and the play on that. So I'm going to put this pointed cross in here. And I'm just going to bring that out in between each of my blades. And I'm just going to find that same shape. I'm not going to try to make anything crazy. And just put a couple more in here so you can kind of see how it's going to play across the whole quilt. Then, so that those shapes don't get lost, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to echo each of those. I really like to use this little echo and leave a little bit of an empty channel when you want a shape to really stand out, when you want to make sure that it doesn't get lost with quilting in the background. Then you can go ahead and butt your quilting up to those lines, and it's not going to matter. That shape is going to still stay very obvious. And we're going to go ahead and just connect those points, and what that does is that now gives me a frame around each of my Dresdens, so that I'm not trying to fill in all of that space. I can kind of look at each little area individually and how I want to approach that. So now I'm going to fill in my crosses. I just chose some straight lines here. I don't want them to be overly complicated because I do want, the focus of course is those Dresdens. So I don't want to go too crazy with the quilting behind them so that they don't get overpowered. Then what I decided is I'm looking at this, I want those Dresdens to definitely stand out. So I would definitely echo around all of those Dresdens with my quilting. And with this one, I would probably choose one of the more simple Dresden motifs on the inside, maybe an alternating quilt pattern on every other blade. Then I'm just going to go ahead and fill in behind every other Dresden. So some of them aren't going to have any fill behind them, and some of them I'm going to go ahead and put in some pebbles or something small. And that, like I said, just going to create some dimension and give a little bit of interest to the quilt. I just want to show you one more so you can see how I would alternate that. Let me real quick roll this in. So then I would do this one up here as well. And you can see how every other one is going to have the pebbles and then the other ones, and that's just going to make the different areas stand out and, like I said, really separate them.
So you can go to the blog post and you can find a blank block both of the Dresden and of the full quilt. So go ahead and pull those up and feel free to print those out so that you can sketch and doodle directly on them as you come up with some different ideas or try out some of the different ideas that I gave you. And then you can just kind of tuck those aside so that you're ready for those ideas, with those ideas when we're ready to quilt it. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so that you're notified whenever we post a new video. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also sign up for our newsletter where you'll have access to our subscriber library and get notified of all the fun things that we're working on. And we'll see you next week.